It was widely thought that he was grooming his son to take over for him.
Right.
And again, also a government that's largely regarded as significantly corrupt. You know, a lot of people were being cut out of deals and, you know, had things unjustly taken away from them, etc.
Right. We have to stop for a break now. We're going to come back in 2 minutes. We're going to see some station breaks. And we'll be back with more on the unrest in the Middle East. And then we're going to hear some music from my bowling partner. So don't go away.
Where would they go?
Well,
Why do they ever say that?
Because during breaks, people say, oh, this is boring. They're going to change channels.
But it was boring before the break.
No. We were showing lively, interesting, community-focused TV.
Now, people could have just gone to Wikipedia and looked all that up.
Why read when you can have someone tell it to you? So, Casey.
Yeah.
Do we have any tour dates coming up?
I'm brokering deals with Yoshi's right now, in the one in San Francisco, not the one in Oakland.
Well, of course, yeah.
Keith, your mic is down. We need Keith's mic to be more up. Not physically up, I guess, but he needs to be louder. The internet says he's too quiet. Do you have any albums coming out?
Oh, you know what? My glory days are over. I've got albums. They're all available on iTunes already.
So just search for Casey Heney on the iTunes.
Exactly.
And I'll find it. See, people are watching. I got a tweet saying that
I'm on iTunes, and no one ever finds me.
What part of iTunes are you on?
I'm on a podcast.
Oh, the Keith Explains podcast?
The Keith Explains podcast.
I find you.
Yeah.
I think it's only one episode comes out per like 6 months.
Yeah, it's the editor.
It's the editor, yeah.
Bastard.
You must have a whole bunch of episodes waiting in the wings.
Well, keep in mind, most of them suck. So it's better if I don't upload them.
So when we come back, we're going to go back into Egypt. We're going to
You keep saying the Middle East, and that's making you look silly.
Why?
Because most of the...
Well,
so far, all the countries we talked about are in Africa.
North Africa is kind of considered the Middle East.
No, it's not.
It is. I have a book on the topic, and it says North Africa is considered part of the Middle East. Really? I have Middle East for Dummies. You know, the Dummies books? And it says North Africa is part of that.
Man,
so we're going to talk about Egypt.
Dummies book.
They got rid of their president.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about Libya. That's the next big country. And that's still ongoing.
Sadly.
And then I got nothing else after that. So we have the whole rest of the show for.
We'll have to make this topic last.
I'm sure there's lots to talk about. Okay. So I think we're.
Quiet on the set. Back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're back. Welcome to John Wants Answers again. And now we have some time to hear my bowling partner play some music. So what are you going to play for us tonight?
I think we're going to pull out a little bit more of this Middle Eastern theme that we've been going with already.
All right.
Take it away. ABBA?
Thank you for that, Casey.
There you go.
For a musical interlude for the serious topic of unrest in the Middle East and parts of North Africa.
Much of North Africa.
Much of it.
All of it, pretty much, except for Morocco.
So Egypt is unhappy.
Yes.
And
they're less unhappy now.
They're emboldened. By the protests they saw in Tunisia and in Jordan.
Right next door.
Close next door.
Yeah.
So they start protesting.
Yes.
When they start protesting?
I think it was early January.
Early January. And what was life like in Egypt to cause them to want to protest like this? So they...
No idea.
Again, they're probably...
I assume sandy.
increased food prices.
Food prices were going up. Fuel prices were going up.
And the government is spending
Wages
money
were not.
lavishly.
Egypt has a large army and a growing number of businesses that are owned by, a smaller and smaller fraction of the
Right.
populace.
So the rich are getting richer and the
Rich
poor
getting richer, poor getting poorer. The universal health care was taken away from them.
They had universal health care?
No, they didn't. I'm lying
Oh,
to you.
okay. See,
Unions don't have collective bargaining rights in Egypt anymore. They just passed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So things are looking bad in Egypt. So then they all get together and they start protesting.
Well, not all of them. Many.
Well, okay. They have large-scale protests.
Yes.
Throughout the country or just in one part?
I suspect they were centered in the big cities.
So Cairo, is that the big city?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's
It's
also
where the-
Alexandria is a big city.
Yes.
Um,
Big library.
okay. So how long do these protests go on for?
Well, kind of once they got going, right, they didn't stop. They were 24 hours a day. They were occupying the
Right.
center squares of cities. And they were essentially, keeping economic life of the city from happening. You couldn't drive through the center of the city anymore.
Right.
There were just a larger and larger number of people there, so that it became apparent that a lot of people weren't happy with the government. And since, even authoritarian governments are stuck, you kind of have to have the support of some fraction of the population. The army in Egypt is also somewhat distinct from the ruling part of the government, and they have long kind of thought that the army says it's looking out for Egypt, not for the government. And so as the number of people showing their disapproval grew, the army really never cracked down on them. And
The police were corrupt too, because I understand the people burned out police
there were,
stations.
yeah, certainly parts of the police were an arm of the National Party, in that they were kind of spying on their neighbors and reporting things up.
So finally, it's all ended with Mubarak finally
Agreeing to
stepping
step down.
Is he stepped down now, or did you say
Immediately,
he'll step
yeah.
down?
He's pretty much stepped down.
So is there a government in Egypt now?
The military has taken over government and promised that they will hold elections this summer. Mubarak had previously promised that he would hold elections, I think late summer, August or September.
But
People
wanna
didn't
wait.
quite believe them. They didn't want to wait
Right.
because they've promised they'd had fair elections in the past, and it hasn't come to pass.
Okay. So then the
Egypt,
Guy
big thing
left.
happened.
government
You know,
fell.
Jordan had something. Algeria has had something similar to what went on in Tunisia and Egypt, although the government is still standing. They've made some promises.
I think it's time to take some tweets.
Okay.
So if you tweeted us at @JohnWantsAnswer, we're going to read your tweets now. What does it say? Do you have anything new?
Redabear says there's an otter.
Yes,
Very
we have
cute.
an otter.
Scott Canaster asks for a glass blowing demonstration, which we're not going to do.
No, sorry.
No.
We don't have the equipment or the permits to do glass blowing here.
Thanks, Webb. I can watch John and Friend with my niece and uncles in Salinas.
Wow, what?
Wow, man, someone in Salinas,
Someone in
is
Salinas is watching
us.
me? We are spreading.
How many different cheeses are there?
How did that come up?
I don't know.
In the world?
I think that's yes. I think that would be how many different cheeses are there in the world, and that's
So it's your job when we come back.
1,427.
We come back here next month. You'll have to
How
have the
many
answer.
cheeses are there?
Yes.
I wonder how many cheeses are there.com is taken. They could just
Don't-
say 127 or 1,127 in big letters.
Is that all the good tweets we have?
Well, no, that's all the tweets we have. I didn't want to. Do we have Prince Albert in a can? No.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Just tell me the good tweets.
I already told you all the good tweets.
Okay. In that case, let's move on with our topic of
Let's refresh.
Unrest in the Middle East. So the next big country is Libya. I mean, there are other countries along
There
the
are
way.
other countries, yes.
But Libya is a big country.
Libya of late
deal.
has been getting a lot of press.
Yes. So I guess they're again emboldened by seeing Egypt, their neighbor, fall.
Yes.
And they're all unhappy.
Many of them.
So Libya's had a ruler for about 40 years too.
Yes.
Muammar Mohammed al-Gaddafi.
Yes.
For 42 years, since a coup in 1969, he's been there.
Yep.
What I read is that he's been a pretty bad,
He's
evil
not
guy.
a nice guy.
But the last few years, it looked like he was turning a new leaf and becoming more respected by the worldwide
He
community.
stopped doing some of the things that were making much of the world particularly angry at him.
Right.
But I still think he was being pretty bad to his citizens.
So Libya was a country with bad relations with the United States,
Terrible.
terrible relations. And so the people start protesting.
Yes.
And how does that work out?
Well, I think for the first couple days it seemed to be progressing roughly the way Egypt and Tunisia happened, where in the larger cities protests kind of grew. A few days ago, it looked like much of the eastern part of the country actually was no longer under the control of, the government of Gaddafi and his
Right.
and his friends. He and the army, which essentially he does control the army, unlike in Egypt. The army has been fighting back, and I think in a lot of cases, certainly a lot more people have been killed and hurt. They're kind of taking back areas that were
So the army
previously controlled by rebels.
the military is now
Military is
the
attacking the
citizens.
citizens.
Right. Which is, we haven't seen that. We didn't see that in Egypt, did we?
Not really. Certainly nowhere near to the scale.
Right.
And so it's an open. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
The oil port,
it's
I heard,
possible
was
they-
taken back today. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's
You never quite know because there aren't very many impartial reporters on the ground. So everyone is kind of hearing hearing from different sides, and it's unclear what the truth is and what the untruth is.
all right. We're gonna wrap this up. So Libya is still under protest. We don't know how that's going to
Don't
turn
know how it's
out.
working out.
We'll find out next month, maybe.
Hopefully.
So thanks for watching the show. Our next show will be in April. April 14th is our next show. Thanks for watching, and we're going to leave the show listening to our friend Casey play some more music. See you next time.